I slammed my locker door shut, the metallic clang echoing like a gunshot in the empty locker room, my chest heaving from the brutal leg day that had left my quads screaming. Sweat dripped from my brow as I reached for my towel, but then the outer door creaked open. Heavy boots thudding against the tiled floor like an unwelcome heartbeat. It was him, the security guard, Jake Harlan, his broad frame filling the doorway, those piercing blue eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made the air thicken. He stepped inside, twisted the deadbolt with a click that sealed us in, and in a voice raw as gravel he whispered, "Alex, I can't pretend anymore. You're the only one who's ever seen through me." That moment hit me like a freight train barreling through the foggy veil of my ordinary life in Chicago's West Loop. I'd been coming to Gold's Gym for months, escaping the grind of my graphic design job at that soul-sucking ad agency on Wacker Drive, where deadlines blurred into nights of takeout tie and scrolling grinder for connections that never stuck. At 25 I was out and proud. Rainbow pin on my laptop bag, stories swapped over beers with my queer crew at Sidetrack, but something about Jake had always gnawed at me. He was the quiet sentinel patrolling the weights, ex-Marine build under that ill-fitting black polo, a jawline sharp enough to cut glass, and a gaze that lingered just a beat too long on the guys like me, the ones who didn't hide. I'd caught him watching once during a deadlift set, his reflection in the mirror betraying a flicker of hunger before he turned away, radio crackling with some bullshit call about a forgotten water bottle. Now, here we were, trapped in this steamy limbo of lockers and benches, the hum of the AC the only witness. My heart jackhammered, not from fear, but from the electric pull I'd ignored for weeks. "What the hell, Jake?" I managed, clutching my towel like a shield, water still beating on my skin from the quick rinse I'd taken. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he leaned against the door, shoulders slumping as if the weight of his uniform was finally too much. His fingers trembled as he unclipped his badge, letting it clatter to the floor. And that's when I saw it, the faint scar snaking up his neck, hidden usually by his collar, pink and jagged like a secret he'd buried deep. "I followed you in here because, God, Alex, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a creep." His voice cracked and he ran a hand through his buzzed hair, the kind of short crop that screamed military discipline. Up close he smelled like cedar cologne mixed with the faint tang of gun oil. Remnants of his old life, I guessed, from the stories whispered around the gym about how he'd shipped back from Afghanistan 2 years ago, trading desert patrols for night shifts watching meatheads like me grunt through reps. "You've been coming here every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same routine. And every time I watch. Not like that, not stalking. But because you're real. Out. Free. And I'm." He trailed off, eyes dropping to the floor, where puddles from the showers pooled like unspoken regrets. I stepped closer, the cool tile biting into my bare feet, curiosity overriding the instinct to bolt. "You're what, Jake? Spit it out. You locked us in here. Give me a reason not to yell for help." It was half bluff. The gym was closing soon, the last stragglers long gone, and part of me, the reckless, hopeful part that had swiped right on too many disasters, wanted to hear him unravel. He looked up then, those blue eyes stormy as Lake Michigan in a squall, and in one fluid motion, he shrugged off his polo, revealing a chest etched with tattoos, an eagle clutching a rainbow flag in its talons, faded but fierce, right over his heart. "I'm like you," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Gay as hell. But back home in Rockford my family's got this whole Harlan men don't bend bullshit drilled into us. Dad's a cop, retired now, preaches at the Baptist church on Sundays about fire and brimstone. I joined the Corps to escape, thought the desert would burn it out of me. But it didn't. And now," he swallowed hard, thumb tracing the eagle's wing, "now I'm engaged to Sarah, my high school sweetheart, because it's easier to fake it than face them." The words hung there, heavier than any barbell I'd ever racked. Engaged. To a woman. My stomach twisted, a cocktail of pity and fury bubbling up. I'd danced this tango before. Crushes on straight-passing guys who cracked under the Midwest's invisible iron grip. But Jake? He was different. Raw. Terrified. And that scar on his neck? It wasn't from shrapnel. It was a hate crime memento from a bar brawl in Kabul, he'd murmur later, when the floodgates opened. Some locals had clocked him with a guy once, left him bleeding in an alley. That's what shocked me most. Not the tattoo, not the confession, but the man behind the uniform, cracked open and bleeding vulnerability in a place as mundane as a gym locker room. We talked for hours that night, or what felt like hours though the clock on my phone said only 45 minutes had ticked by. He spilled it all. The lonely hookups in Baghdad, the guilt that gnawed at him like sand in his boots, the way Sarah's touch felt like sandpaper on his soul. She was kind, he said, a nurse with a laugh like wind chimes, but it was all theater, a ring he'd bought to appease his mom, who FaceTimed weekly with wedding venue links. I see you, Alex, he said, pulling his shirt back on but leaving the badge on the floor. Laughing with your friends after sets, that easy way you move through the world. Kills me because I want that. I want you. I didn't kiss him then. God, I wanted to. His lips parted just so, breath mingling with mine in the humid air, but something held me back. Caution maybe, or the echo of too many heartbreaks. Instead I picked up his badge, pressed it into his palm. Then fight for it, Jake. But not here. Not like this. He nodded, eyes glistening, and slipped out as quietly as he'd come, leaving me alone with the ghosts of what-ifs. The next day dawned gray and slushy, Chicago's signature winter hangover, but my mind was a whirlwind. I called in sick to the agency, spent the morning sketching abstract designs on my tablet, swirling lines of blue and gold that looked suspiciously like eyes and eagles. Theo, my roommate, cornered me in the kitchen over coffee, their purple-streaked hair a mess from a late-night painting session. You look like you saw a ghost. Or got laid by one. Spiel. I did, the locker room drama tumbling out between sips of black brew. Theo listened, chin propped on hand, then whistled low. Ex-Marine closet case with family baggage? Recipe for disaster, babe. But that tattoo? Sounds like he's halfway out the door. Just don't be his rebound from straight-laced Sarah. Their words stuck as I headed to the gym that evening, nerves jangling like loose change. Jake was there, same post by the entrance, but when our eyes met, he didn't look away. After my cardio, he nodded toward the juice bar, casual as coffee. Protein shake? My treat. We sat at a corner table, the clank of weights a distant rhythm. He stirred his drink, ice clinking. About last night. I didn't sleep. Kept replaying it, wondering if I scared you off. You did, I admitted, sipping mine, chocolate too sweet. But not enough to run. Shocked ya? Intrigued, definitely. He chuckled, a low rumble that warmed the chill between us. Good. As I meant it. The wanting you part. His knee brushed mine under the table, accidental on purpose, sending sparks up my spine. We talked easy then, gym routines, favorite Chicago haunts, his love for the Cubs despite their curse. By closing time he'd asked for my number, fingers lingering on my phone as he typed it in. That first text came at 2 a.m. Can't sleep. Thinking about that eagle. You think it still flies? I replied with a photo of my own tattoo, a small pride flag on my wrist, inked after my first Pride March. It does. With the right wind. Our first real date was the next weekend, a low-stakes walk along the lakefront trail, bundled against the wind that whipped off the water like it had a grudge. Navy Pier loomed in the distance, Ferris wheel lights blinking like distant stars. Jake showed up in civvies, faded jeans, a Bears hoodie that hugged his shoulders just right, looking less like a guard and more like the guy next door. We grabbed dogs from a cart, mustard dripping, laughing when he got it on his chin and I wiped it off with my thumb, the touch lingering. As we strolled, he opened up in layers. The core had been his escape hatch from Rockford's suffocating normalcy, small-town football games, church potlucks, the unspoken rule that boys like him played straight. Sarah and I. It started as friends. She knew I was different, but we made a pact. I'd be her +1 to prom, she'd be my cover for family barbecues. Then the ring happened, like a bad habit we couldn't kick. His voice tightened. But seeing you free, unapologetic, it lit something. Made me want to burn the script. I shared my own map of scars. The high school bully who shoved me into lockers, the mom who baked rainbow cookies for my 18th but cried in the bathroom after. Coming out here in the city? It's like breathing for the first time. But it's not all glitter. Rejection still stings like lake water in a cut. We stopped at a bench facing the horizon, waves lapping like confessions. His hand found mine, gloved fingers intertwining. Then let's breathe together. The kiss that followed was inevitable, soft at first, then deepening with the salt of the air. His free hand cupping my neck as if I might vanish. It was romantic, movie poster perfect, the city skyline our backdrop. but grounded in the gritty realness of cold noses and tentative hearts. From there it snowballed. Texts turned to calls to stolen hours. He'd swing by the agency after shifts, waiting in his truck with thermoses of coffee, listening as I ranted about client revisions. We'd hit Wrigleyville bars, cheering Cubs' losses with ironic toasts, his arm around my shoulders like it belonged. Sex came later, natural as the thaw, my apartment, sheets rumpled, bodies exploring with the reverence of something long denied. He was gentle, attentive, whispering my name like a prayer, the eagle tattoo rising and falling under my palm. But romance in the Midwest is never without its undercurrents. Jake's phone would buzz at odd hours, Sarah's name flashing, innocent check-ins that he'd silence with a grimace. Just logistics, he'd say. Wedding stuff I haven't canceled yet. I'd nod, swallowing the unease because when he looked at me it felt like truth. One night, after a particularly grueling therapy session he dragged me to as moral support. We lay in bed, city lights striping the walls. I told the counselor about you, he murmured, fingers tracing my arm. Said you're the reason I'm finally facing this. Pride swelled, mixed with fear. And Sarah? The family. Soon, he promised, kissing my temple. Give me time to map the minefield. I did. For a while it was enough, the way he fit into my life like a missing piece, turning my solitary routines into shared adventures. Little did I know the explosion was coming, and when it did, it'd shatter us both. Spring teased Chicago with false starts, balmy days that lured you out without a jacket, only to slap you with sleep by evening. Our relationship mirrored it. Bursts of warmth, then chills that left you questioning your skin. Jake and I settled into a rhythm, the kind that feels like home if you squint past the fault lines. Mornings he'd brew coffee strong as boot camp, black for him, loaded with cream for me, while I sketched at the kitchen table, stealing glances at his ritual of lacing up running shoes for dawn patrols along the lake. Keeps the demons at bay, he'd say with a wink, but I saw the shadows in his eyes, the way he'd pause mid-sip, staring at nothing. Theo became our unofficial cheerleader, hosting couples game nights that devolved into Cards Against Humanity marathons. Jake's deadpan delivery cracking us up with lines about emotional baggage that hit too close. You're good for him, Alex, Theo confided one night as Jake dozed on the couch, Cubs game droning. He laughs more. Like real laughs, not the polite ones. It was true. Jake bloomed in the city's queer ecosystem. The pride stickers on his truck bumper. The way he'd hum along to Chapel Roan on my playlist without flinching. We volunteered at a local center, painting murals for trans youth, his steady hands guiding brushes while I mixed colors. This, he said, dabbing neon pink on a canvas heart. This is what I fought for overseas. Freedom to be. But freedom has barbs. The calls from Rockford escalated, his mom's voice cheerful on speakerphone during dinners, chattering about floral arrangements, his dad's gruff, when you bringing Sarah up for the taste? Jake would deflect with jokes, but I'd catch him later, staring at the ceiling, jaw clenched. They're not ready, he'd mutter when I'd press. And neither am I. One step at a time. The first rail crack appeared in late March, during a weekend getaway to Starved Rock State Park, a 2-hour drive southwest where the Illinois River carved canyons like God's afterthought. We'd packed a cooler with sandwiches and beer, aiming for hikes and hammocks, a break from the city's grind. The trails wound through bluffs blooming with hepatica, air crisp with earth and possibility. We held hands openly. No crowds to judge, just birdsong and the crunch of leaves. At Eagle's Cliff Overlook, perched on a ledge with the river snaking below, Jake pulled a small box from his pack. My heart leaped, stupidly romantic, picturing a key or a promise ring. But it was a flash drive labeled Mix for Us. Made it last night, he said, sheepish. Songs that feel like you. Like this. We plugged it into a portable speaker, and as the Nationals' I Need My Girl, ironically, filled the air, he drew me close, slow dancing on the rock. It was perfect, wind in our hair, his heartbeat syncing with the bass, until his phone vibrated in his pocket, insistent. He ignored it twice, but the third time he sighed, stepping away. Gotta be work. It wasn't. Sarah's voice carried on the breeze, tinny but sharp. Jake, Mom Harlan called me. Said the caterer's asking for numbers. You haven't told them, have you? Silence stretched, his back to me, broad and tense. No, not yet. Look, I'm handling it. Just, give me space. He hung up, turning with a forced smile. Crisis averted. Where were we? I pulled away, stomach nodding. Space? From her or from this? I gestured between us, the river rushing like accusation. Jake, it's been months. That drive, the songs, it's beautiful, but it's a band-aid on a bullet wound. When do you rip it off? His face darkened, the easy lover replaced by the guarded marine. You think I don't know? Every night I rehearse the words. Mom, Dad, I'm gay. Sarah's out. But what then? Dad disowns me? I lose the job. End up crashing on your couch like some charity case. He paced the ledge, hands raking his hair. I love you, Alex. But love doesn't pay bills or mend families. The word stung. Love dropped like a grenade. We'd skirted it before, whispers in the dark, but hearing it raw amid the bluffs made it real and terrifying. Then what are we doing here? I asked, voice small against the wind. Playing house until the real world knocks? He stopped, cupping my face, thumbs rough from calluses. No. We're building something. Give me until summer. I'll do it then, after the gym's busy season calms. His kiss was desperate, sealing the pact, and we let the music pull us back. Bodies swaying as if rhythm could rewrite fate. Back in the city, the idol held but tension simmered. Work ramped up for me. A pitch for a queer-owned coffee brand, mock-ups of steaming mugs with rainbow foam art that had the client gushing. Jake cheered loudest, tacking my drafts to the fridge like trophies. We hosted a small dinner, Theo and a few gym buddies, where Jake grilled steaks with surprising finesse, sharing war stories sanitized for civilians, humorous tales of sandstorms and MRE hacks that masked the darker undercurrents. Yet, in quiet moments, doubt crept. I'd wake to him scrolling old photos, Sarah's smile frozen in time, and wonder if I was interloper or savior. One evening post-gym we hit a bar in Boys Town, rainbow flags snapping in the breeze. Drinks flowed, laughter easy until a tipsy stranger clapped Jake on the back. Heard you're the new muscle around here. What's a stud like you doing with a pretty boy like Alex? Jake stiffened, laugh forced. Just keeping him safe. But later, nursing a beer, he admitted. That hit hard. Back home they'd say the opposite. Call me the pretty boy worse. I squeezed his hand under the table. Here you're you. That's enough. Was it? The question lingered as April unfolded. Cherry blossoms dusting the parkways like confetti for a parade we weren't invited to. Jake started a journal, per his therapist, leather-bound, pages filled with scrawled fears and hopes. He read me snippets one night, voice steady. Today I told a coworker about the tattoo. He nodded, said cool. Small win. Pride swelled, but so did worry. Sarah texted less, but when she did, Jake's replies grew clipped, guilt etching lines around his eyes. She's pulling away. He confessed over takeout faux, steam curling like sighs. Good for her, bad for the cover. Then let the cover burn, I urged, chopsticks paused. We're stronger without it. He nodded, but his eyes were distant, fixed on a horizon I couldn't see. Little did I know, the fire was coming sooner than summer, and it would consume us both before the ashes settled. We pushed through, clinging to routines that anchored us. Mornings at the gym became our ritual. He'd spot my bench presses, breath warm on my neck, murmuring encouragements that bordered on flirtation. One more killer. Show me what you've got. Evenings we'd cook, his attempt at jambalaya spicy as his temper, my salads to balance the heat. Theo dubbed us the domestic gays. Teasing but approving, their art supplies spilling into our shared space like colorful chaos. A highlight came mid-April. Tickets to a Broadway touring show at the CBC Theater. The prom. A glitter bomb tale of small-town acceptance that had us tearing up in the dark. Intermission, over overpriced Chardonnay. Jake leaned in. That's us, sorta. The outcasts fighting for the dance. Except our proms every day, I replied, clinking glasses. The metaphor stuck, fueling late-night talks about futures. Maybe a place in Uptown with a balcony for summer barbecues, or trips to Provincetown, where hand-holding was the norm. But undercurrents pulled. Jake's shifts lengthened, overtime to save for our thing. He'd say, but I sensed avoidance. One night, I found him on the fire escape, smoking a rare cigarette, staring at the L train rumbling by. What's eating you? I asked, joining him in the chill. He exhaled smoke like a dragon. Dreamt of the alley again.
Kabul.
Woke up swinging. His voice hollowed. Therapy helps, but some nights. I wonder if I'm worth the trouble. For you. For anyone. I pulled him inside, wrapping him in a blanket fort on the couch. You're worth the fight, Jake. Every punch, every scar. We held each other as the city pulsed outside, but his words echoed, a harbinger of storms. By month's end, the barbs sharpened. A family Easter invite arrived, polite, persistent. Jake declined, citing work, but the fallout lingered. His mood soured like milk left out. They're losing patience, he admitted during a run in Lincoln Park, breaths puffing white. Mom asked if Sarah's the one.
Elite.
Again. End it, I panted, pushing harder. All of it. I will, he promised, but the when hung unspoken, a ghost at our table. Then the weekend before May it fractured. We'd planned a staycation, picnic in Grant Park, architecture boat tour, but Jake bailed last minute. Emergency shift. Alone I wandered the bean, its curve mocking my solitude, when my phone buzzed. Not Jake, a mutual gym friend, photo attached. Jake at a diner in Wrigleyville, across from a woman with wind chime laugh, her hand on his arm. Sarah. In Chicago. Rage boiled hot as lake steam. I confronted him that night, photo thrust like evidence. What the fuck, Jake? Handling it means secret dinners. His face drained. She drove up. Needed closure. I told her about us, about everything. It was messy, tears, but over. Over. I laughed bitter. Or just pause for the show? He reached for me, I recoiled. Trust me, Alex. Please. I wanted to. God, I did. But trust is fragile as spring ice, and mine was cracking wide. The argument that followed was a tempest. Words whipping like the wind off the lake during a gale. My apartment, usually a sanctuary of exposed brick and thrift store art, felt claustrophobic, walls closing in as Jake stood there. Jacket still on from the diner, smelling faintly of her perfume, floral, cloying. Trust you. I echoed, voice pitching high, the photo still glowing on my screen like a neon accusation. You've been feeding me soon for months, and now she's here touching you while I'm what, your side hustle? He flinched, hands up in surrender. It wasn't like that. Sarah showed up unannounced, said she couldn't wait for my timeline anymore. We met to hash it out, away from here, from you, so it didn't bleed into us. I told her I'm gay, in love with you. She cried, hugged me goodbye. That's it. The end. The end, I repeated, sinking onto the couch, head in hands. Love. He'd said it again, casual as confessing a coffee order, but it landed like a gut punch. You love me, but you couldn't love me enough to cut the cord sooner? To spare me this limbo. Jake knelt before me, eyes pleading, the bruise from an old training mishap fading on his cheek. I was scared, Alex, of losing you before I even had you. But I'm done hiding. Tomorrow I call my folks, book the drive. Full disclosure. No more half-truths. I searched his face, those blue depths turbulent but earnest, and something softened. Promise. Swear on the eagle, he said, hand over heart, pulling me into an embrace that smelled of rain and regret. We didn't make love that night, too raw, too tender, but held on, breath sinking in the dark. The city us hum a lullaby for fractured dreams. The next day dawned bright, mocking our wreckage with sun streaming through blinds. Jake was up early, pacing the kitchen as coffee brewed. Phone clutched like a grenade. I watched from the doorway, mug in hand, heart a drum solo. Want backup? I offered, voice steady despite the quake inside. He shook his head. This is my minefield. But stay close. I nodded, settling at the table with my sketchpad, lines flowing abstract, jagged edges softening to curves as he dialed. The call to his mom lasted 20 minutes, voice low and measured at first, then rising in waves. Mom, listen. Sarah and I, it's off. Not because of cold feet. Because I'm gay. Silence stretched, broken by her gasp, then sobs. No, it's not a phase. I've known since high school. The core, the ring, it was all to fit your mold. But I can't anymore. I love a man. Alex. He's everything. She talked over him then, a torrent of shock and scripture, but laced with love. Your father. Oh, Jake, how could you hide this? He glanced at me, eyes wet, and mouthed, I love you. By the end it was tentative truce. Come home soon. We need to talk. All of us. Dad was worse, a Kurt will see after Jake's plea, the line going dead like a slammed door. Jake hung up, deflated but unbowed, collapsing into my arms. It's out. No take-backs. We celebrated small. Brunch at Insather, cinnamon rolls sticky as relief, toasting with mimosas to truth bombs. The gym buzzed with normalcy that afternoon. Jake patrolled with lighter step, even joking with the front desk about locker room epiphanies. I caught his eye across the mats, a shared smile that felt like victory. But betrayal doesn't die with one call. It festers, waiting for the next host. 2 weeks later, mid-May, the hammer fell. I'd been at a client meeting in the Loop, pitching those rainbow mugs, when my phone exploded. Notifications from Theo, then the gym group chat. Photos. Jake at a family barbecue in Rockford, Sarah on his arm, laughing as if the diner closure never happened. Caption from a cousin. Harlan men and their brides-to-be. Wedding bells. My world tunneled. The client droned on about branding synergy. I nodded numbly, vision blurring. Back at the agency, I bolted to the bathroom, dry heaving over the sink. Betrayal pure and vicious. He'd gone home, played the part, let them reel him back into the lie. For what? Pity? Pressure? The drive back to Logan Square was a blur. Horns blaring like accusations. He was waiting when I burst in, face ashen, duffel half-packed on the bed. Alex, let me explain. Explain. I snatched the phone, shoving the photo in his face. This? With her. After the call, the promises. His shoulders sagged. Dad cornered me. Said if I didn't show up straight, he'd cut me off, money, the house, everything. Mom begged for one more chance. Sarah was there, willing to fake it for the weekend by time. EE caved. Just to keep the peace. Caved. Fury erupted, hot and unfiltered. You didn't cave, you betrayed us. Me. The everything you swore to them. Tears streamed, ugly and unchecked. I opened my life to you, Jake. Gave you space to fight. And you choose barbecue and bullshit over us. He reached, I jerked back. It was one weekend. To soften the blow. I was going to tell them Sunday, drive back and... Liar. The word hung venomous. You're a coward in uniform. Get out. He did, duffel slung, eyes shattered. The door click echoed like that locker room bolt, but this time it locked him out. Alone, I curled on the bed, sobs racking until exhaustion claimed me. Dreams haunted by eagles with clipped wings. The days blurred into a gray haze. Work became refuge, revisions on the coffee campaign, endless tweaks that numbed the ache. Theo mothered fiercely, stocking the fridge with Ben and Jerry's, dragging me to yoga in the park where downward dog couldn't downdog the hurt. He's human, Alex, they said one night over wine. Flawed as fuck. But you deserve better than scraps. I knew it intellectually. But heart deep I replayed the good. The kisses under the bean, the journal snippets, the way he'd hum off-key in the shower. Friends rallied. Bar hops at the closet where drag trivia distracted. A lakefront run club that left me spent but steady. Still, the gym loomed like a minefield. I switched to mornings, avoiding his shifts, but glimpses haunted. His silhouette by the desk, head bowed. A week in, the letter arrived, same shaky script. Pages of remorse. I panicked, Alex. Dad's threats hit old wounds. The disownment fear, the isolation. Sarah was a crutch, not a choice. I told them Sunday, full truth. Dad walked out, Mom held me. It's broken but honest. I'm broken too. Therapy twice a week now. If there's any you left, meet me at Starved Rock. The cliff. Where I first said I loved you. I burned it in the sink, flame-licking words to ash. But the pull lingered, a tether I couldn't sever. 2 weeks became 3, isolation my armor. A work trip to Milwaukee saved me. Design conference with panels on inclusive branding, queer creators sharing stages. There, amid craft beers and keynotes, I flirted lightly, tested waters, but nothing stuck. Jake's ghost shadowed every laugh. Back home, the confrontation came unbidden. A knock at midnight, him rain-soaked, eyes hollow. Can't sleep. Can't eat. Just need to see you're okay. I let him in, walls crumbling. I'm not. You gutted me, Jake. I know. He stood dripping, vulnerable. Hate me. But no, I ended it, all of it. Sarah's gone, ring pond. Folks? Radio silence from Dad, but Mom texts prayers. I'm free, but empty without you. We talked till dawn, raw and relentless, his fears unpacked, my hurts aired. No makeup kiss, no easy fix, but a fragile bridge. Slow, I said. Therapy together. No promises. He nodded, leaving with a ghost of hope. Betrayal's scar remained, but in its wake, something tougher grew. Resilience, perhaps, or the first green shoot of forgiveness. Summer scorched Chicago like a grudge, humidity turning the streets into saunas, the lakefront a refuge of sweat-slicked bodies seeking cool. Our reconciliation was no different, steamy, exhausting. A dance of 2 steps forward, 1 back. Joint therapy became our lifeline. Wednesdays at a Pilsen clinic with rainbow flags fluttering from the awning. The counselor, Dr. Rivera, a no-nonsense Latina with a voice like velvet over steel, didn't coddle. Trust is earned in actions, not apologies, she'd say, eyeing Jake as he fidgeted, then me as I crossed arms. Sessions peeled layers. Jake's PTSD manifesting as control issues, rooted in desert losses. A buddy's IED death replaying in family pressures. I sabotage good things, he admitted one day, voice thick, because losing them on my terms hurts less than surprise. I countered with my patterns, rescuing strays, ignoring red flags for the romance high. You weren't the first closet case, I confessed, Dr. Rivera nodding sagely. But you were the one who made me believe in after. Homework followed. Daily check-ins, no phone zones during dates, a betrayal journal, where we logged triggers without judgment. It was work, gritty as sanding calluses, but progress glinted. Jake landed a promotion, head of security badge upgraded, celebrating with a picnic at Montrose Point, where birders dotted the dunes. We fed each other grapes, laughing when juice stained his shirt, the eagle peeking like a co-conspirator. Family mending was thornier. His mom visited first, a tentative lunch at Giordano's, deep dish steaming between us. Ellen Harlan was steel-wrapped softness, graying bob, nurse's scrubs under cardigan, her handshake firm, eyes searching mine. He speaks of you like sunshine, she said, folding a napkin precisely. Thank you for pulling him into light. Jake tensed, but I saw the thaw. He's the strong one, I replied. Dad remained a void. No calls, just silence that Jake mourned like a death. Give him time, Mom urged on her drive back. Harlan's are slow burns. My family offered contrast. Dad's bear hugs at a backyard barbecue in Oak Park, grilling brats while grilling Jake on intentions. Treat him right, son, he rumbled, clapping Jake's back. Or you'll answer to me. Mom baked Alex's apple pie, a recipe tweak for his sweet tooth. Inclusion wrapped in pastry. Yet, conflicts simmered. A night out at Roscoe's, taupe-colored walls pulsing with pop, turned tense when an ex of mine drunk flirty ground danced too close. Jake pulled me away, jaw tight. Boundaries, he muttered later in the cab. Or is that just for me? The fight spilled at home, old wounds reopening. You're jealous, I snapped. After your barbecue stunt? He recoiled. Fair. But I'm trying, unlike that guy, I'm not playing games. Dr. Rivera mediated next session, reframing. Jealousy's fear in disguise. Name it. We did, raw and revealing, emerging tighter, hands clasped leaving the office. July brought heat waves and high stakes. A gym event, charity liftathon for LGBTQ youth shelter. Jake emceed, mic in hand, voice booming jokes that landed soft. Back in the core we carried brothers through fire. Today let's carry hope. The crowd cheered me loudest, pride swelling as he dedicated a set to the man who carried me. Post-event in the locker room, full circle, we showered side by side, steam veiling but not hiding. Remember the first time? He murmured, water cascading. Locked door, all secrets. Now it's open, I replied, soaping his back, fingers tracing scars. All of you. Intimacy reignited, deeper now. Nights where bodies spoke what words fumbled. Mornings tangled in sheets. Coffee cold on the nightstand. We planned a road trip, Route 66 remnants, ending in Santa Fe for turquoise skies and queer art walks. Fresh start, Jake said, packing the trunk with coolers and optimism. But climax brewed in August, a storm cell gathering. Jake's dad broke silence, not with warmth but ultimatum. A letter typed formal. Son, your choices shame the Harlan name. Seek conversion counseling or don't come home. Ever. Jake read it aloud, voice steady till the end, then shattered. Fists through drywall, sobs that gutted me. I held him through the night, rocking like a child. He's wrong, I whispered. You're enough. Dawn brought resolve. Jake wrote back, not anger but truth. Stories of Kabul courage, Chicago growth, love's quiet valor. I'm your son, gay or not. Grieve if you must, but don't lose me. No reply came, but Mom called, voice quavering. He read it. Cried. It's a start. The pain lingered but catalyzed growth. Jake channeled it into advocacy. Speaking at the shelter, sharing his scars story to kids with wide eyes. Hate marks us, he told them. But love heals. For me, the betrayal's echo faded, replaced by partnership's hum. We argued less, loved fiercer. Thanksgiving with my folks, his mom joining via Zoom, toasting across screens. Christmas loomed, snow dusting the city like forgiveness. One evening, post-run in Jackson Park, lagoons mirroring oaks, Jake stopped, breath clouding. Marry me? Not now, someday. When we're ready. Tears pricked. Yes. Someday. It wasn't perfect, PTSD flares, family ghosts, but humanistic in its imperfection. Two men scarred and striving, building a life brick by Midwestern brick. The shock of that locker room door had opened worlds, not just for us, but for the ripples we sent. Conversations sparked, closets cracked. As leaves turned, we walked the 606 again. Hands linked, city sprawling. What now? I asked. Now. Jake grinned, kissing my temple. We live. Shocked but standing. Winter gripped Chicago again, but this time it felt like embrace, not bite. December's chill sharpened edges made hot cocoa steam sacred. Holiday lights a constellation of second chances. Jake and I navigated the season with deliberate joy, stringing garlands in our new place. A one-bedroom in Ukrainian village, exposed beams and bay windows overlooking snow-draped streets. Moving day had been chaos. Boxes labeled Alex's art supplies and Jake's gun safe. Theo directing with a clipboard like a queer general. To epic fails and epic wins, we'd toasted with boxed wine amid the mess. The proposal lingered, a promise seed. We shopped rings online, simple bands, tungsten etched with eagles and flags, but held off, savoring the wait. No rush, Jake said, polishing his choice one night by lamplight. We've got time. Family dynamics shifted tectonic. Mom Harlan arrived for Christmas Eve, train from Rockford, arms laden with tamales and tentative hugs. Dad stayed home but sent a card, stiff and signed but enclosed. A photo of young Jake in Little League, scrawled proud always. Jake framed it, hung by the tree, tears unspoken. My folks hosted dinner, table groaning under turkey and pierogies, Dad's toast slurring sentimental. To found family and the ones that stick. Jake fit seamless, carving meat with precision, sharing marine tales that drew laughs. Under the mistletoe, his kiss was bold, family cheers warming the room. New Year's brought reflection. We hosted a small party. Theo DJing queer anthems, Jim pals toasting resolutions. As midnight struck, confetti raining, Jake pulled me to the fire escape, city fireworks blooming. This year, he murmured, arms around me. No more hiding. Full throttle. Full throttle, I echoed, sealing with a kiss that tasted of champagne and certainty. Spring 2026 thawed old frosts. Jake's dad called in March, voice gruff, halting. Heard you're good for him. Church groups got a meeting. For folks like us. It was bridge building, awkward as new shoes, but Jake drove home, returned lighter. He's trying. That's man enough for me. Work flourished. My coffee campaign launched, billboards beaming rainbows across the CTA. Jake mentored at the shelter, his story a beacon. From alleys to authenticity. We traveled light, weekend in Saugatuck, dunes and dunes walks, hand in hand where dunes met lake. Conflicts arose, inevitable. A PTSD episode in June triggered by fireworks. Jake bolting mid-block party, breaths ragged. I followed, grounding him in an alley with deep breaths and you're here with me. Therapy adapted, EMDR sessions that left him drained but determined. Betrayal's ghost surfaced rarely. A flinch at family mentions, a nightmare where I walked away. But we faced it head-on, anniversaries marked with letters. What you've taught me, exchanged over diner pie, vulnerabilities bared like gifts. By summer's end, the climax crested. Not in drama but quiet profundity. Jake's dad visited, unannounced, standing at our door in ill-fitting jeans, hat in hand. Brought ribs. From the pit. Figured. Talk. We did, over takeout on the balcony, air thick with grill smoke and silences. He apologized, halting. Didn't know how to love wrong. And Jake forgave, not instant but real. Welcome to the mess, Dad. The wedding came fall, small in hours. Lincoln Park Conservatory, glass walls blooming with autumn leaves. Vows simple. I choose you, scars and all. Rings exchanged, eagle bands glinting. Theo officiated, tearing up. Mom Harlan dabbed eyes beside Dad, who clapped loudest. Honeymoon in Key West, beaches, conch fritters, sunset sails where we danced to steel drums. Bodies loose in salt air. Shocked it took a locker room, Jake joked one night, toes in sand. Shocked we're here, I replied, head on his chest, eagle rising under stars. Back home, life wove human tapestry. Adopting a mutt named Scout, volunteering tandem, gray hairs creeping as years stacked. Conflicts came, job stresses, health scares, but rooted now we weathered. At 35, reflecting over coffee on our 10th, I marveled. From shock to symbiosis. A gay love story etched American, dramatic in gales, romantic in calms, humanistic in holds. Jake, ever the Marine, saluted with a grin. To discoveries that endure. And we drank deep, hearts full. The city our endless horizon.